While designing the Power Automate flow for any automation, we always try to build the automation using the minimum possible actions inside the Power Automate flow so that the running time is as minimum as possible. Hey everyone, this is Prashant Chaudhary. I welcome you all to my channel Classy Power App. In this video, we will understand one scenario where we want to build some automation, some optimal automation, and we are stuck at the position where we need to select one action. Either we select variable or we should go with the compose. As you know that these two actions are used to hold the values while the flow is running. So making the decision whether to proceed with the variable or to the compose action, we need to understand where are their advantages and where are their disadvantage. So let me just try to help you using the flow. I'm just taking to my screen. Here we'll go with the first one flow and we say compare variable versus compose. And here let's say we want to use the variable. So we say initialize variable, and then while we go with the initialize variable, we need to give the variable name, let's say var1. We need to select the data type, let's say string, and we need to pass some value. On the another hand, if we use compose here, we can see it belongs to data operation and it just need the input parameters. If we pass the same, both will generate the same output. But here you can see when we go with the variable, we need to select the data type and we need to pass the variable name and the value. But in case of compose, we just need to pass the value. There is no mean for the name and the data type, what type of value it will hold. So it means in case of selection of data type, compose can win because it can hold all type of data inside it, whether it can be a string, number, date, or maybe any other. Let's go with the second comparison. The second comparison is about the scope. Let's say we have in our automation we are fetching some data from some SharePoint list. Okay, let's say we say get items and it is connected to one of my SharePoint site. I'm just selecting this with students. Okay, now if I say I want to store the value of the variable, or maybe I want to store the value of the item title into some of my variable. So let's say if I say set variable, I can see here, and here it gives me the option which particular variable you want to store the value. And if I say, let's say title, it go inside apply to each. And here we can notice that now if you try to initialize any other variable, you can't do it. If we say initialize variable, we can't do it. It means that the initialization of any variable should be done in the parent chain, not inside any apply to each, neither inside any sort of loop. But if we do the same for compose, we can do it directly. If we go with compose, we have the compose, and it is as compose to, and then we can pass title. You can select like that, and then here we can see for this compose to we need not to initialize it even. Okay, it means here also this compose will win. But the thing is, if I want to change the value of this compose one, can I do it? I can't. Okay, because there is no option for this change the compose value. Okay, now coming to the third comparison is about the scope. What is the scope of these two actions, the compose or the variables? Let's come outside this variable, apply to each, and then try to use, let's say, use one more initialize variable maybe, and let's say where to give it as type of text. And now let's try to store this. Okay, now let's try to see whether we can fetch the compose to value or we can fetch the var one value, because those values are handling the student's title value. Okay, so now come outside, and then we try to store and see, it gives only the option to store var1. There is no option for the compose to, this belongs to compose, that is on the parent one. So it means the scope of this compose to is limited only inside this apply to each. Okay, and whereas for this var1 we can access that, although its value is stored inside this apply to each, but we can access it. It means these variables can be categorized at the global variables because it can be accessible at every place inside this power automate flow, whereas the compose is limited to the particular area or maybe some boundaries. Now coming to the fourth one or maybe the last one, that is about the timing. How much time this compose and this variable will take. So I have created two flows. Let me just go back and show you. I have created two flows. One is using the compare, and another one is using the compose. Okay, this one is okay, this one is using the variable, and I just use one action, that is simply initializing some variable with the type of string and storing the value Prashant. Whereas on the another flow, I've used another like another compose, also storing the same value. And if I try to test how much time this will take, rest all would have the same set of actions like the trigger and the terminate. Let's try to see what's the difference between these timings. Make it done. That is completed. Now just go back. That too is completed. Now go back, and then I want to see how much time it has taken. Go with the variable and then open this the comps. So here we can see for this flow, which is whose name is CMPS, is using 157 milliseconds to complete its job, whereas for the another one, that is VBLE, is using 142 milliseconds. So we can see 157 is greater than 142. So we'll go with the 157. This one belongs to the variable. Yes, this variable. It means the execution time of the global of this variable's actions are mm, greater than the compose action. So if you are interested in decreasing the time of your flow execution, then you can try thinking about the replacing the variables into the compose whenever you can. because there are some places where you can't change the variables to with the compose, but at some places there is a possibility to change these. Okay, so that is all in this video everyone. Hope you understand like where to use the compose and where to use the variables. So thank you all, thanks for watching this video. Thank you.